G'day everybody, welcome back to my channel. This week I've been listening to a lot of Genesis, and I wouldn't say they were my favorite band when I was a kid, but they were certainly, got a lot of airplay on the radio, so I'm pretty familiar with their the bigger hit songs that they had in the late 70s, early 1980s, and those have a special place in my heart. I can't say I appreciated them a great deal when I was a kid, but now looking back on it, I think that's some of the best, pop music that was being made back then. And it all comes out of, their early years as a prog rock band with Peter Gabriel in the role of lead singer. They were experimental, they were theatrical. And of course, Phil Collins, when Peter Gabriel left and it was decided that Phil Collins would take up the role of singer as well as drummer, turns out he had an amazing voice. And he had learned a lot from Peter Gabriel. I think there's a lot of similarities in his style of singing, but he has his own style as well, which I would say is more kind of soulful, a little bit more Motown-ish. Two amazing singers that came out of that era that totally dominated the airwaves in the 1980s as solo artists. But of course, Phil Collins continued to perform with Genesis, which eventually became a trio. And I think it was during those years, from the late 70s to the early 80s, that they wrote their best songs, certainly their most recognizable hit songs, which kind of came out of the prog rock style, but were tighter, more focused. It's kind of like the transition. I was thinking about this transition from bebop to hard bop, kind of going back to the basics, but with all the mastery of, and all the great ornamentation that bebop had given jazz, and then the hard bop kind of went back to basics, and it was tighter and more focused. And I think that this is what Genesis turned out to be in late 70s, early 80s, when they made what I think are their best songs. And this is one of them. It's from the album Duke. And I think Duke was a great breakthrough album because it was kind of poised between the prog rock era and this new, more pop style and sensibility that Genesis was developing. And this is one of their songs. It's called Misunderstanding. And I decided to I decided that it sounded best if you tune down the guitar to D, from the E standard to basically D standard, whatever you want to call it. And so you're just playing up the fretboard, up the neck of the guitar. Sounds the best to me, so I'm going to try it this way and see how it sounds to you. So you start. So instead of an E minor, this is now a D minor, which coincides with the original recording. So it goes. If I can get my thumb right so it doesn't buzz. But you see how it goes progressively up the neck and then back. And then you keep that groove. There must be some misunderstanding. There must be some kind of mistake. I was waiting in the rain for hours. You were late. And then it does a little turnaround. Can probably do better than that, but so that would be D if it was tuned regularly, but now it's a C. So, or you can let somebody play bass on that part. So let's try again. There must be be some misunderstanding. Woo! Some kind of mistake. I was waiting in the rain for hours. You were late. There was not like me to say the right thing, but you could have called to let me know. I checked your number twice, don't understand it, so I went home. That sounds a little funny with the open tuning, because when I was playing it just now, I was playing the open, would have been open E, but now it's open D at the top. And that sounds pretty good with these chords. You just kind of let that ring out. But then when you transition to the bridge, it's B flat, which is now A flat, C, which is now B, right? So, well, I've been waiting for this weekend. Thought that maybe we could see her show. Never dreamed I'd have this feeling. Seeing you is believing. That sounds a little bit like ELO. It's got that great late 70s, cusp of 1980s sound to it. So this would be A minor, G minor, but now it's G minor, F minor. Trying to convert these chords in my head, not always easy. Never dreamed I'd have this feeling. Seeing you is believing. That's why I don't know why you didn't show up that night. There must be some misunderstanding. There must be some kind of mistake. Was waiting in the rain for hours. You were late. And then it goes to the bridge, to the second bridge. Since then I've been running around trying to find you. Went to the places you always go. I rang your house but got no answer. Jumped in my car, I went round there. Still don't believe it, he was just leaving. There must be some misunderstanding. There must be some kind of mistake. There must be some misunderstanding. Anyway, so you get the picture. So that's how I've decided to play it. Sounds good to me. And I'm sure other people have other ways of playing it, but that's what I'm going for here. And just a few other observations. The bridge, right? The second bridge. I've been running around trying to find you. I went to the places you always go. I rang your house but got no answer. Jumped in my car, I went round there. Still don't believe it. He was just leaving. What a great punchline, right? He was just leaving. You kind of get, now you get the whole thrust of the story at the very end. It's like, that's why she was late. That's why she didn't show up. Here's the misunderstanding. She's with another guy and she's left me in the rain. How many guys have had that experience before? So it's kind of a universal song, and it takes kind of a simple premise of a guy who's stood up by a date, right? And it turns it into this, it elevates it into this very dramatic song. It's just a great tune, and definitely up there at the top of their hit songs, in my opinion. A very simple song. Again, it kind of reminds me in some ways of the ELO sort of chord progressions of the late 70s, early 80s. If you know the soundtrack to Boogie Nights, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, great song, and I'm gonna keep playing this song and kind of try to memorize it, try to learn it well. But that's the basic structure of it. So, thanks for listening.